Hello everyone. Today I will show you an art journal page and I do this gesso transfer again. I've done that once, but I forgot to show the process and to video the process. So I will show you this page and you can see me starting on an unprepared page with the image. I put a really fairly good layer of gesso on top and then press it lightly onto the page because I want to keep a bit of texture from this thicker coat of gesso. And not that you're wondering, you will see during this process different images because I use three different ones and I couldn't decide at the beginning which one I would show. So you will see different ones, but the process is always the same. So I decided I wanted to have three parts of this image on the page, two of them partially, of course. And but it's always the same. It's a good layer. You can control that. You can have a thin layer or a thicker layer. And but when you have a thick layer, don't press it too hard, otherwise it will squeeze out and it goes on your page and it makes it extremely difficult to remove the paper afterwards. So this is a dried image. Everything has dried, and then I spray a bit of water on top of that and start rubbing with my fingers. And when you do three images, I can tell you have blisters on your fingers afterwards. Okay, and the best thing is when you rub that off is you can see and feel actually when you rubbed everything off. When you go over it with your finger and everything feels smooth and soft, then there won't be any residue left. Or when you have still a bit of blurry or like a milky layer on top, there's still something of that paper. So it is a bit annoying, no, but it's a lot of work getting rid, because when you're rubbing too hard, you could damage the image. So it's difficult to get the right pressure on that. You have to try it. But at the end, I got everything off, as you can see here, and I start then, I think, with the butterflies afterwards, on the moths. I have worked on them and I will show you the process of this page. I'm not sure if I will show the other ones because at the end of the day it's the same sort of technique. Okay, the page will look different. I don't know yet, and if I video it I will show it definitely. So that took me a long time because it was a huge image. So yeah. And that's the third one actually. Here I show you how I protect the image to go on. I already gessoed everything so that I can hide the edges of the transfer, and I put this rubber cement on top of the images that are just in case. I don't need to be so careful with paint when I'm doing something because it won't seep under it. So on here I start with the moths, and the red paint you see is something from a leftover project. I thought that would look nice, but at the end I didn't like it so much because it was very much into your face, this red, and I didn't want actually a red basic background. I wanted to have a green. So this is crackle paste, and it is transparent. It looks white when you put it on, but when it dries it will be transparent, and I put that around this moths all around, and to make them stand out at the end. You will see that I work a lot on these crackles, and to make them stand out. That's the point of it, you know. I like to use it and then put some paint on to bring the crackles out, dark paint. So you can see it is dry now. You can see the crackles from close up, but you won't see it from the distance, of course. It will blend in when you're not doing something to it. And then I use this acrylic ink, but at the end it wasn't dark enough. You will see me working on that again. But for the moment, I use the acrylic ink, go around the images, let it sink in, and help it with water, spread some water on it, that it seeps into the crackles even more. It will, but of course it's a very light color. It doesn't stand out a lot. So, and because I will use a green background, it's not really standing out. But that, I will do that at the end, and you will see what I will use for that. That was the best option, and it worked quite good. So, still dabbing that off, and put it a bit over the whole page, because I was sure I would work in greens actually. So I take the rubber cement off already, because I thought I finished, but I didn't know that at that stage. So it doesn't matter when you go on doing something at the edges of this motif. Then I had to be careful with stuff. So now I go over the whole page with light green, and then use the smaragd green. It's what I'm using here is very cheap craft paint. It's very watery, not a lot of pigments, but that's what I was after. When you use this very cheap paint, doesn't matter how long it has dried on the page, you can still rub it off, and that is always an effect I quite like. It looks absolutely brilliantly distressed. First I dab paint off with a dry cloth, and then I go over it with a baby wipe and get paint partially off, get the background paint into the foreground again, and so on. So, and then I use Dine Reveley's Dilution Paint, and for the reason, because it is, when you work with it, not very generous, it is transparent, so you can see the background through, and that's what I was after. Most of my other paints are too opaque, so this is perfect. When you use that thin enough, it's not covering up, and that's absolutely fantastic when you really want to see background. And on some of the areas I put a different green on. I can't remember which paint it was. Oh, I forgot to show you the process with stamping, but it is a simple script stamp, and stamped with archival ink in black, and that's it. Next step is this bubble wrap, these big bubbles, you know. I love them, but it's so difficult to get them. Every time I get a parcel and something's wrapped in that, I'm so happy. Yeah, get a new one. And I use the gesso. And on top of that, I will use a green. I think I've used Lumiere. I'm not sure. Yeah, I did. I used the Lumiere, and I pressed it down on the same spaces so that I have the white with a bit of this shiny green on it. So let me know when you know where to get this big bubble wrap. I can't find it anywhere. You know, this normal one, the normal size one, you can buy them in the DIY stores everywhere, but never this really big ones. So I'm curious if some of you knows here in Europe, not in the States, please, because that would be very difficult for me to get something there. So now I outline the motifs and go around with my favorite ink pen, the Uniball eye, and then I try to work the pit pen, this big brush, into the crackles, go on top, and spread it out with a brush and a bit of water, but it didn't get I didn't get the same effect. It didn't really sink into the crackles, but it made the moss stand out more, so that was absolutely okay. And I do that to all of them, give them a bit more dimension around them. So next step, yeah, I thought that might be a good idea to use my triple gloss on top of the moth, that just in case I'm working not carefully enough and get some paint on, that I can wipe it off. So I wanted to keep the moths completely white. That was the whole purpose of this page, and that worked quite good with this one. So I'm working on, put some, this is, I think, that's the turquoise Lumieres in pearlescent. Yeah, it is pearlescent turquoise Lumieres, to get a bit of different color here and there. And then I go in with a credit card and another, this darker green Lumiere. I wanted to stay in this green tones actually, and give a few lines in to have a bit going on in the background. So at the moment, I need to tell you, we have a bit of a heat wave here in Germany. Sitting here in my craft rooms, thanks God my craft room is in the basement, so it keeps quite cool-ish compared to outside. Of course, we have about 40 degrees. What is 40 degrees? It's about 100 something in your terms. So the house on the ground floor, we have about 30 degrees. So okay, it's 10 degrees difference to outside, but then on top we have our bedroom under the roof, and it is absolutely incredible hot, can't sleep. So you can see me here using the Echo line in black, and I try to use it to get the crackles out, and that worked fantastically. That sinks in, because it's in watercolor. It sinks in beautifully into the crackles, and it will accentuate them perfectly. We'll see that at the end, and that got me the effect I was after. And so going on with the heat, it is not easy at the moment. On one hand, it's easy because everything dries quite quickly. So when I want to have something dry, modeling paste or so, I put it out for a bit and it dries. But on the other side, I can't use of course I could, but I don't want to use my heat tool here, just in case I heat my studio up. And so it's a bit, I'm not into the flow at the moment, you know. I can't do this flow work I like to do, because I have to bring stuff outside and get it in again. So, and here you see the crackles with the black Echo line. It is absolutely the way I wanted it. So, and then I start to go into, because these lines I made with the credit cards to me looked a bit like stems, and I thought that might be a good idea to put some dots on it to have some sort of flower. And that's what I did, and it looks quite okay. You can see that here I used the same paint, and oh no, I didn't use the Lumiere for the green dots. It was Maya Gold from Viva. Sorry, so Maya Gold from Viva in this green turquoise thing. It's beautiful. So these are pearl makers in different colors. I wasn't sure which one to use. Go in a bit closer, and I wanted to bring these lines and the dots together more, and therefore I used the dots. The pearl maker makes small dots and bring everything together. You will see that much better at the end when you see the pictures. So as usual, you will see them at the end. And next, of course, I have to edge my page with black, and most of the times I use acrylic paint. It's easy, and I like the unevenness, you know, when I go over, have a bit blob on my fingers and I go over the edges. It's not very even, and that's what I really like. It looks very organic, and I go over the lines to define them a bit more with my Pitt pen in a very sketchy line, very loose line, and around the pearls I made with this pearl maker to get them out a bit more, make them pop a bit more. And the next thing is, I can't see the next step, it's all black. Oh yeah, I have to put some stamping down, letter stamping, and what I did here, I stamped around the wings, and the moth to me is definitely a night creature, so that's why I stamped down, simply night creature. Night on top of the wing and creature on the bottom. And I started with the E at the end to make sure that I had enough space, but I didn't. I ran out of space, but that's okay. It looks sort of okay. It's a bit squeezed together at the end. And I go over it with my ink pencil pen. Again, it looked a bit thin, not thick enough. A few highlights with my Sharpie, and that's actually it. That's the finished page, and now you will see a close-up, and at the end you will see some pictures. I had these little pearls where I wanted to bring everything together, and I think that works quite well. So that's it. I thank you a lot for watching. I hope you liked it and give me a thumb up, and I will see you with my next video. So have a fantastic week, guys. See you then. Bye bye.